Hello, my friends. I'm Dr. Tony Soldano. Thank you for joining me. This is the Leadership Center. We are in the pursuit of excellence, and our hope and desire is that we will develop you to be an impactful leader, whatever your sphere of influence may be. This is part two of mastering opportunities. How do we become opportunistic leaders? And again, I just want to emphasize that we're not talking about taking advantage of people or situations or manipulating in any way, but I'm actually talking about the positive side of managing and navigating opportunities. In part one, and by the way, there's a link most likely that you can go and check out. Part one, we talked about two critical things: partnership, so people, and then number two, how do we manage and take calculated, that's an important word, calculated risks. Today in part two, I want to talk about two things. Number one, the intangibles, which are very, very difficult to communicate, and then stick-to-itiveness. All right, so those are two things we're going to cover today. What are the intangibles when it comes to mastering opportunities? You know, people have different thoughts and phrases about this. And let me throw some out there so you understand where I'm coming from. That when leaders are making decisions, some leaders are very good at what they call gut feel, or other people call it intuition. Other people call it discernment. Have you ever noticed that some leaders, they just make these emotional decisions, not in a negative sense, but because they believe in it, they have faith in it. They call it, I just got a gut feeling. I can't put my finger on it, but I either feel good about this, or they actually step away. They step away from opportunities because, it gives them the heebie-jeebies, or they just have this sixth sense that, it's not going to work out. Whether it's people related or resource or money, they just have this. And by the way, this is very hard to explain. It's very hard to teach, but you need to have self-awareness of how this works in you. You may have more of it. You may have less of it. Hopefully there's people in your circle that know how to identify what we call the intangibles. I'm going to give you some thoughts around what to look for when you are navigating opportunities and you're looking for the intangibles, because feelings can be deceiving. And so somewhere, your head has to rule over your heart at times, because you might make emotional decisions that don't make sense. And here's where the tension comes, because I just said, listen, don't just be emotional, and yet we're really operating on feelings. So let me give you some thoughts. Number one, your past experiences. What has led you to this place? What are some of the decisions that you made that worked out really well? What worked out very poorly? And what were some of the feelings, the gut feels, the intuitions, the discernment that was surrounding that? By the way, sometimes people have dreams. They have visions, if you will, things that happen at night, or visions of the day that they're like, wow, I actually saw this. This was going to work out, or this didn't work out, or sometimes people will say, I think I've been here before. Have you ever heard that? That's all about what I'm talking about. So what about your past experiences? What can you draw from that? What can you learn from that, particularly the things that you felt? Number two, be a first-class observer. Be a first-class noticer. Are you aware, not only internally aware, are you externally aware? Are you able to read situations? Are you able to read people? Are you able to read feelings? Is it a good feeling? Is it a bad feeling? What are the negative connotations around the opportunity? What are the positive connotations around it? How developed is your ability to observe, to notice, by the way, the little things, the little nuances, and maybe your spirit inside you that is talking to you, that little voice. And by the way, sometimes they say women have a greater intuition power, if you will. And I know some faith people right now are a little bit unnerved because they will land more on the discernment side. But obviously I'm trying to talk to a broader audience, and I hope you will understand what I'm trying to communicate, both if you're faith people or you're just secular people. Number 3, and goes along with observing really well, is you need to listen well. You need to be an excellent listener. You need to listen to people. You need to hear them. You need to understand what is being said to you, about the situation. Sometimes some of the best information can come to us and it's packaged in a critical way. Maybe it's not polished. Maybe it's not nice. Maybe sometimes it's not even respectful, if you will. But how is what's being said arriving to you, and how are you receiving it? Are you dismissing it simply because you don't like the packaging, or you don't like the deliverer of the message, the mailman or the mail person, whatever it is we say today? Listen, you need to develop, is my third point, you need to develop very, very good listening skills. It's absolutely critical. Number 4, remember we're talking about the intangibles. Number 4, ask a lot of questions. So not only am I listening, I am asking pertinent questions, by the way, of everybody, no matter what their level, their expertise. You might be surprised, some of the most frontline, what seem to be insignificant people have a lot of knowledge. I remember when I was in the retail world, and I had to purchase items, whether it was for the Christmas season or Halloween or Valentine's, whatever it was. And because we were in retail, I would go and speak to the cashiers, because the cashiers knew the customers. They would have conversations, they had information, and I would show them some of the product, and I would ask them, what would you buy? What do you think is going to do well? And by the way, I'd also want to know what my staff was going to buy, so that my staff wouldn't buy everything and then my customers didn't have anything left. And so those frontline people, sometimes the people that we don't think have the knowledge or the expertise, you might be surprised on what they know, on what they hear, that it's not always top management, it's not always top supervision that has the information. So ask a lot of questions. Here's my second point today: stick-to-itiveness. Stick-to-itiveness. And this could be resilience, even our ability to bounce back. But why is this important? Remember, we're talking about mastering opportunities. We're talking about taking advantage in a positive way of things that are either created for us or that we have created for ourselves. And my friends, I guarantee you are going to have to stick to it at some point. If you really, number 1, if you really believe, if you really have faith that this is the right thing to do, that you should move forward. And normally when we have these decisions before us, as we talked about in the first program, there's going to be risk. There is going to be some opportunity to lose money, people, relationships, resources, whatever it may be. So you have to have a firm, grounded belief in yourself. Can we say it? In your heart, that this is the right thing to do. I know this is the right thing to do. You have to have belief. You cannot be persuaded otherwise. You are rooted, grounded, you are firm. This one needs to be done. Number 2, I would say this: define what success looks like. If you're going to stick to it, what does success look like? And by the way, it's not always measured in dollars and cents. Many times I believe that money is a byproduct of what we're doing because we believe in it. It's our vision. It might be our call in life. It's our purpose, our destiny, all that philosophical area that we love to talk about. It's the reason we get up in the morning. And because of it, we define culture. And so then money and profitability, which I don't believe is a bad thing, is a byproduct of our vision, of our life calling. It causes us to create culture that causes people then to succeed and to flourish and to want to be around us and to join us. To me, my friends, creating a culture of creativity, those Those are the things that to me define success, that I love what I'm doing, that I'm passionate, and I'm willing to give myself to it completely and bring others along with me. It's the reason that I get up in the morning, that I live and I breathe. And so we need to define what success is. If we're going to stick to it, we better know what the goal line is and how we win and where's the end zone, if I can use a football analogy. How do I get a touchdown? Number three, we cannot be afraid to fail. We cannot be motivated by fear. Fear is a paralyzer. Fear will destroy you. It'll keep you from making ultimate, sound, solid decisions. It will cause you to veer away from your ultimate goal. It might actually cause you to be safe instead of being right. What's the right thing to do? Because of fear, sometimes we will take the more safe approach, or we won't do it again. And so this is why belief is incredibly important. You cannot be motivated by fear. Now, remember, we talked about calculated risk. When we're talking about opportunities, there is the opportunity to miss, to lose. However, fear cannot be our motivator. We must move out of belief, out of faith, knowing that we are doing the right thing. Here's another point. I believe it's my fourth point, is this: set a timeline. Set a timeline, and not only the ultimate timeline, but maybe there are gates. You're going to have certain, whether it's a month, 6 months, a year, etc. What are your timelines where you are measuring productivity, profitability? Am I achieving my sub-goals in order to achieve my ultimate opportunity? So it's not that opportunities go on and on and on without these time frames in place where I am checking, measuring. Am I still on track? Am I gaining traction? Am I losing traction? Does something need to be adjusted? And so, my friends, there you have the 4 key things. 2 of them we talked about in part 1, and 2 of them, by the way, we've put here. And by the way, please, if you have other things with respect to stick-to-itiveness, or you have other ideas or thoughts on the intangibles, I'd love to hear it. Put your comments there. Let's be collaborative. Let's share together. Let's help one another. I want to leave you with some last thoughts as you are managing and navigating opportunities. Number 1, believe. So have faith. Number 2, dream. Dream again. And number 3, enterprise. Have faith, dream, and enterprise. Thank you for joining me. I'm Dr. Tony Soldano, and this is the Leadership Center.